It all starts in the 12th century when a young man named Ash is sentenced to death. Shackled, although it wasn't always this way. Ash had a nice modern life and a great career not long ago. Ash works as a consultant in a supermarket. One day, he goes to the woods with his girlfriend Linda, renting an abandoned archaeological house where he discovers an old book wrapped in human skin and written in blood was not meant for the world of the living. As soon as Ash opened it, something evil appeared in the woods, taking Linda and returning to Ash. Ash grabbed the chainsaw to stop the decomposition after the monster punctured the guy's arm. That didn't stop the evil from growing stronger. It returned and opened a vortex, sucking in everything in its path, including Ash himself. When Ash lands in a wasteland, the ironclad riders swiftly surround him and order him captured. Lord Arthur stares apprehensively at the stranger and summons the old sage to him while the lad tries to explain himself. The elderly guy suggests that this is the prophesied man who will fall from the skies and save everyone from horror and death. But Arthur is not convinced by the legend. He assumes it is Henry's spy and orders the lad to be thrown into the pit. While Ash fights the guards, the wise man collects the chainsaw he left behind, and the lad is carried away. As the procession approaches the town, the villagers curse the prisoners and praise Lord Arthur. Sheila, a local maiden, approaches my lord's horse and inquires about her brother, to which Arthur replies that the kid has died in war. The locals get increasingly hostile, not only shouting after him, but also spreading their arms. Sheila joins the others and attacks Ash, pledging to revenge his brother. The inmates are lined up close to a pit in the middle of town. Without further ado, Arthur orders the hull to be opened, and one of the vessels is tossed down instantly. A scarlet fountain rises into the sky in a matter of seconds. Another prisoner attempts to flee, but Arthur shoots an arrow from his crossbow, stopping the fugitive. The ash is brought close to the pit. Sheila continues to accuse the stranger and tosses a stone, denying him mercy. A dead guy with covered eyes emerges from the water, and Ash finds himself at the bottom of the well. After the man defeats the zombies, Arthur orders that both be destroyed so that no one can escape. Ash is helped by a wise man. The elderly guy throws a chainsaw to the traveler, who grabs it with his amputated hand. Ash defeats the dead man, but another one arrives out of nowhere, and the spike shields are getting closer. The man grabs the chain and climbs up, saving his legs at the last moment. When they reach the surface, Arthur is annoyed by his impertinence, but Ash has his gun and saves his life. Onlookers crowd around to examine the strange thing. After all, only swords and spears exist in their universe at this point, and the lad proudly raises the rifle above his head. While speaking to the gathering, Ash notices a dead man emerge from the pit, and the man pulls the trigger to display the strength of the pistol. The zombie is recirculated. The beautiful guests gather with fruit, meat, and drink. Sheila had taken a seat at Ash's feet as well. She apologizes for her attacks, but the male dismisses her, remembers the thrown stone. An old man enters Ash's chambers and tells him he needs to discover a book that will let him return home. At the same time, a dead witch emerges in the chamber, shrieking that the stranger would never be given the Book of the Dead. The witch causes a ruckus in the chamber, scattering the guards one by one, and Ash is forced to use the shotgun once more. When he eventually gets rid of the old woman, the elderly man tells him to go find the book right now, for if it falls into the hands of zombies, all of humanity would be engulfed by evil. The blacksmith fashions an iron prosthesis to replace the boy's amputated arm. Sheila also sues him for a cloak, but the outraged visitor refers to it as a horse blanket. Sheila, enraged, slaps the thug and flees. But Ash catches up with her and asks her to make his life better by kissing him. Ash is led to the edge of the cemetery by Arthur and the old sage, where the Book of the Dead awaits him. The wise guy instructs the foreigner on the words he must say when he discovers the text and warns him not to mix them up. The traveler arrives in a hazy wilderness. When Ash notices something dreadful approaching him, he makes every effort to flee. However, after colliding with a limb, the traveler falls into the marsh and must continue running by foot. The creature tears down the door, much to the chagrin of Ash, who seeks sanctuary in the ancient mill. But the knocking eventually ceases. When the stranger lights a fire in the fireplace, he notices his reflection in a giant mirror. The child smashes the mirror, and his little duplicates emerge from the dozens of fragments. They attack the behemoth with pitchforks, terrifying him once more. Ash tries to fight back by killing one of the miniature doppelgangers, but the midgets are too strong for him and make the giant faint. When Ash awakens, he is bound to the floor. The midgets force him to open his mouth, and one of his attackers dies in the process of ultimately untangling the ropes. Ash tries everything he can to kick the little copy out of him, but even the hot boiling water is ineffective. Furthermore, an eye appears on the guy's shoulder, followed by a head, a body, and, eventually, a distinct large Ash. The doppelganger eventually breaks from Ash and looks to be his negative half. The guy quickly discards the duplicate and returns it to the mill to be chopped up into pieces and buried deep in the ground. Moving ahead, Ash discovers an altar, but it yields 3 identical books all at once. Unsure which one to open, the boy opens the first one he sees and is sucked within the vortex. The visitor is able to escape, but his face appears to have been sucked into a big vacuum cleaner. To correct the problem, Ash must shake his head multiple times. The second book proves to be a trap as well. It swoops down like a savage dog on the man, and only an iron prosthetic saves him. Finally, Ash locates the correct copy, but he can't recall the words to spell. The hero casts the magic at random, exacerbating the situation. Dead men start appearing from beneath the ground, and everything turns upside down, even in the metropolis. Bonnie Arms pins Ash to the ground, but he escapes and returns to his horse. As the youngster runs for the city walls, his doppelganger rises from the hole to exact his vengeance. The citizens of the town celebrate the great hero, expecting that he will save them from the undead. However, he wants to return home as soon as possible. After handing over the book to the old man, the youngster demands to be teleported away. The wise man is saddened to learn that the traveler's comments are incorrect. Not only is he unable to return, but he has also damned humanity to annihilation. Arthur assures the lad that they will send him home, but the deaths of the townspeople will haunt him. Sheila also reminds the youngster about their dreams, which will no longer be realized because everyone will perish. He is not kept waiting by the devils. A terrible monster appears out of nowhere and kidnaps Sheila. Ash grabs his sword and tries to save her, but he is too late. Meanwhile, Ash double collects an army of the dead to retrieve the book from the cemetery. When Sheila is brought to him, the monster kisses her and says the same words to her that Ash spoke to the girl the previous day. An army of the dead is nearing the fortress, according to intelligence. Panic spreads among the knights, but Ash assures everyone that they can prevail, and that in order to do so, they must make peace and unify with Henry. The knights back the man from the future, and the city braces itself for battle. An army of the dead is preparing to strike, led by Ash's duplicate, Sheila, who has also become a zombie. But the residents of the town are not helpless. Ash instructs them to bring his fallen car's contents, which turn out to be a lot of helpful goods. The person works with the sage at night to prepare gunpowder and weapons, and he teaches the knights martial arts during the day. There are more dead guys, but Ash is desperate to get home and begins to fight the zombies. He issues orders to the knights, and the town prepares for fight after raising the bridge. The Lord of the Dead orders the troops to charge the castle, and as they get close, fire arrows shoot from the walls towards them. Catapults packed with gunpowder also destroy the rest of the raiders, but victory is still a long way off. The skeletons burst the gates and enter the city, and Arthur believes that all they can do now is pray. However, Ash uses his backup weapon. He rides out in an updated vehicle, annihilating the dead men. The Earl reveals her actual identity to him and attempts to kill her friend with a spear. He fights back, but the townspeople are defeated, and the skeletons are poised to steal the book. While Henry and his troops are assisting Arthur's army, Ash climbs the tower to protect the book from his doppelganger. But now comes the most difficult battle, a battle with himself to safeguard the book and return home, no matter what Ash does. Each time, the doppelganger picks up his knuckles and returns with increased zeal. He eventually manages to knock Ash off the wall, and as he falls, the guy notices that the fuse is ready to set fire to the gunpowder bag. After enticing the zombie lord to him, Ash knocks the book from his grasp and tosses the skeleton with the sack, solving two problems at once. The last of the dead men flee as the locals rejoice at their win. Sheila is left on the ground, and after it's over, the girl reverts to her normal self and throws herself on her friend's neck. Suddenly, Arthur's and Henry's forces clash again, but Ash manages to reconcile them, and peace returns to the city. The Elder brews a potion and explains the ritual Ash needs recite in order to return to his realm. Before leaving, the boy goes for a walk with Sheila to say his goodbyes and kiss her one final time. In next scene, Ash tells the following day, Callie is the one who doesn't believe in the zombie story or that an ordinary consultant can become king. However, the story captivates a long-legged, lovely customer who flirts with the hero. Suddenly, the hypermarket goes dark, and one of the dead girls Ash unintentionally guided into his realm reappears, having made another magical problem. The man, already knowing what to do, gets a gun from the window and strips the witch, establishing himself as king in his universe and conquering his new girlfriend. This is where this story ends. When you find a book that is strange, it is better not to open it because you never know what might happen. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to the channel. Soon we will bring you many similar stories. Have a good time watching one of the 2 videos that we have provided for you in the meanwhile, and we will see you very soon.